All good. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. I've been inspired to share a couple of things with you guys. One of which I think will really help you in your businesses. So I'm going to switch over to screens. Okay. Um, and this has come out of a couple of conversations I've had very, very recently. So very recently, I was in an Uber, and as recent as of yesterday, as a matter of fact, yesterday, it's been kind of a blur here. I'm gonna switch back over real quick and mute everybody for the moment. You guys know the drill. You can always unmute yourself, okay, if you want to ask a question. But so very as recent as yesterday, I was in an Uber with somebody, and I asked him, just sort of in a roundabout way, if he's interested in earning 100% of the fare, as I usually do. And he went into quite the diatribe. He already knew about Tryp, so it was a very interesting conversation that I'm going to share with you guys, just because I think it'll be very helpful. So, if you're interested in building this business, which everybody who is on this call or watching this video is, okay, super important. Don't focus on the money. Focus on helping people, okay? And what do I mean by that? And I'm actually going to stop sharing for a second so you can just see me in my face and understand kind of what I've learned about this business and business in general, okay? Is if you're constantly focusing on the money, you will not have the energy to do this business the way to the level it's going to require. Let's just put it that way, okay? That it's going to require you talk to drivers all the time in the early morning, in the late night. It's going to require you go over to the rideshare lots and talk to people. It's going to require a lot of effort, okay? But the beauty of this business is such that if you do the work, you will be rewarded, okay? And the reason that we all lock arms every Friday, and I talk to you guys all the time, and I'm on the phone with you, and you know, and I've answered hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls from people about Tryp that aren't even in the group, and aren't even in our group, aren't even in my group, is because I get 100% that if I participate in helping a lot of people, then the money will come, okay? Without a doubt, it will come. Okay. And we're going to see evidence of that next Sunday when we open the first city of Miami, Florida. I'm so psyched about that. I don't want to get ahead of myself real quick. Okay. But I wanted it to be really clear to you that if you focus on the fact that we are helping hundreds of thousands of people have a better life through this company, it will be much easier to roll up your sleeves and work long hours into the night, early in the morning, and do whatever it takes to build your business. Okay. So I just can't tell you that the importance of that. Okay. There's no way that Stacy and I could have kept in the game the way we have since December 18th of 2018, which is when he and I both started building this business. Okay. Since that point, I've worked every single day. I've not skipped a single day on this business. Okay. I answer phone calls all the time. That's what it's going to require. And that's what, you know, I want you to think about in terms of, are you focusing on the money or are you focusing on helping people? Okay, the money will come. We know that it will, okay? But if you focus on helping people, that's going to make an incredible difference in your ability to roll up the sleeves and really get going with this thing, okay? Secondly, helping people get you motivated. Okay, good. I had talking notes for myself here to make sure I got everything in there, okay? And this is how I was just saying how we worked diligently daily ever since December of 2018. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about how to handle negative people, because as I said at the beginning of the call, I came across a driver yesterday who was taking me from Dulles Airport in DC to National, because I had the ride home, the flight home from hell from where I was this week. Okay. And he immediately started getting really negative with me about Tryp. He knew about it. Okay. He knew a lot about it, actually. And I said, hey, you know, fantastic. Let me ask you one thing. Do you think that if this thing works and we're able to provide 100% of the fare and tips and everything to drivers and thousands of drivers, do you think that it'll help a lot of drivers? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if that can be pulled off, and this thing actually works, and it's not a scam, and it's not a, all these other things. It's not a pyramid. I'm going to get to all those in a second. Okay. He said, if it works, it will help a lot of people. I'm like, great. So let's start from there. Okay. So he brought out all the negative things you could possibly imagine. Okay. The second thing he said is it's a pyramid scheme. I'm like, okay. And so let me ask you this. Okay. Apple, pretty big company, right? Are there more people at the top or at the bottom? And he sort of chuckled because he knew what I was getting at. He's like, yeah, there's more people in Apple at the bottom. I said, well, that kind of sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. And he kind of looked at me and said, yeah, I mean, I suppose that does look like a pyramid. And I said, well, let me ask you this, because, the idea of pyramid scheme, obviously that has a negative connotation to it. If you work your tail off in a company, are you guaranteed to rise in that company? He said, no, not at all. I said, why not? Why aren't you guaranteed? I'm working hard. Why aren't I guaranteed to rise up and to make more money and get a better position and a better position in that company that I'm working in? And he simply said, because if somebody doesn't like you above, they won't promote you. And he's spot on. If somebody doesn't like you above, they won't promote you. That's all it takes, okay? And I'm not saying this to like gloom and doom things, okay? This is a fact of life. This is a fact of what it is to be working for somebody else, okay? And I said to him, look, do you think that if you work your tail off, you should be rewarded? And he said, absolutely. I work my tail off all the time in my business. The guy was really smart. He had 3 or 4 different charging cords. He had Kleenex. He had, like, the back of his car was immaculate, and he had all these things. He was so thoughtful about his rideshare business. It was ridiculous. I mean, I'm like, this is a guy who cares, right? And I said, okay, then do you think a business that if it allowed you to work your tail off and you made money from it, does that make sense? Okay. He said, absolutely. Yeah, because I work my tail off. I'm like, I agree. Okay. And this is the only business that I've ever seen that allows you to work your tail off and absolutely get paid for it and get rewarded for it. Okay. And that's super important, right? I mean, if we work our tails off, we should absolutely be rewarded for it. Not squashed because somebody doesn't like us. Not squashed because we weren't in the right job. Not squashed because we didn't do this correctly. Okay. But we worked our tails off. And that's what makes sense a lot. So, and is it a pyramid scheme? Absolutely not. Okay. He also said, hey, I think MLMs are illegal. He said, I'm pretty sure they're illegal. I'm like, okay. You ever heard of Amway? He's like, yeah. I said, you know that there's a basketball stadium named after Amway, right? He says, yeah, down in Florida, right? Yeah. I said, did you not know that Amway is an MLM? And he's like, it is? And I'm like, you think that they could exist for 50 years if it were illegal? He's like, probably not. It's a great conversation. And I kept saying to him, I'm not trying to convince you of anything, man. I'm just trying to set the record straight here, And I said, look, the way it works with MLMs nowadays is that there are so many regulatory bodies, the FTC, the SEC, that regulate what how an MLM can operate. Okay. And if you don't operate that way, they shut you down. Okay. And I get that there has been riffraff in the past, right? There absolutely has been. Okay, but what they're there to do now is to make sure that riffraff doesn't become a part of the present. Okay, so there's just no way a company can operate for very long if they're not operating under the guidelines of the SEC and the FTC as an MLM. So it just doesn't happen anymore, okay, which is really cool. Now, the other thing, and I told you, this guy, like, he had it all, okay? I understand that I think he said your CEO is a crook. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He says, I think he had SEC issues. I'm like, do you know what that means? No. Do you know what an SEC issue is? No, but I mean, it's the government. So if you're in trouble with the government, clearly you're guilty until proven innocent, which is my take on what he was saying. Okay, it's not what he actually said. And I said, what I do know about this, because I've talked to Bob about this, Stacy and I've talked to him about it, is that He was never convicted. Okay, period. Never convicted. It was settled. Okay. And here's what else I know about the SEC. Okay. My father got in trouble with the SEC. Okay. Not on something that he did, on something his business partner did. Okay. And actually his boss. Okay. And because he was a part of this, the SEC investigated him. Okay. He wasn't a part of it at all. Okay. But they went after him because they can. Okay. It's a very serious, arm of the federal government. They're very serious. They have the ability to destroy people's lives. Okay. So what Bob did, okay, whatever it was he did, was completely settled. That means they did not pursue it. Okay. That means that whatever it was, and I've never asked him, I don't need to know. I don't care, frankly, because I know what hell my dad went through because of something else somebody else did. Okay. And I know what the power of this organization is. And I'm not slamming them. I'm like, hey, don't come after me, SEC. It's all cool, all right? But that's the fact of the matter is it was something with Bob that Bob just said, hey, man, it's solved. I took care of it, okay? It was an issue. It's no longer an issue, okay? And that's the way I look at it. It was an issue. It is no longer an issue, okay? So I hope that's helpful for you. So if you guys hear any of these things, okay, they're really simple to answer, okay? So first of all, step one, right? And I'll get to you in just a second, Betty. Get them to agree on one thing. If this works, will it help a ton of drivers? Absolutely. Okay, great. Pyramid scheme. I like to use Apple. Everybody's heard of Apple. Okay, are there more people at the top or at the bottom? Sounds like a pyramid scheme. Okay, how to address are MLMs illegal? Just bring up Amway, bring up the fact that all MLMs have to go through SEC and FTC guidelines, and if they don't, they get shut down because that's how they're keeping out the riffraff. Only the best survive nowadays. Okay. And lastly, the SEC issue with Bob, solved, done, passed, completely gone, done. They have no problem with him. He can do whatever he wants to do, and he's doing something great, in my opinion. Okay. Let me go see Benny. I saw a hand come up, and I got to remember how to get to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Benny.
Yeah. Also, in defense of Bob, is that even billion-dollar companies have to account for where their money is coming from. Everything is every bean is counted, and they're large, but they have lots of accountants and stuff like that. So, yeah, he would have been in prison if he did something wrong. So I don't know why people give credit to just because he was investigated. Everybody gets audited or something by the IRS or something.
Yeah,
and
part of the reason that a lot of people know this is because it ranks so high on the internet that if you do a search for Bob McNulty, you see that. Okay, so if somebody goes, who is this guy?
I call that the hit piece. I call that the hit piece. That's a Uber Lyft hit piece. Of course, they're going to try to destroy their. They're going to try to nip it in the bud, and they're going to try to attack before you're even out. But that gives more reasons to join Tryp, because I tell drivers, that gives me more reason to join Tryp, because they know that this model is actually going to help drivers make more money, and so they're going to lose all their drivers. And so that's
really good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Benny. So cool. Anybody else have anything to ask or add about that before I move on? No? Excellent. And like I said, Benny just raised his hand. You're welcome to just unmute and add to the conversation. Okay. So let's look at how to talk to drivers. Okay. Because one of the things I realized in this, it was so funny after I talked to this guy, my son was with me, my 16-year-old son. I said, hey, you think I changed his mind? And he's like, oh yeah, no doubt about it, Dad, you changed his mind. But I wasn't trying to change his mind. I was just trying to inform him. So first thing I always do when I'm talking to a driver is ask them about themselves first before talking about Tryp. Okay, this is super important, okay, because everybody likes to talk about themselves, okay? If you learn anything about Sales 101 is ask about them, okay? Say, hey, what's going on, man? Like, I'll ask, oh, how long have you been driving for Uber and Lyft? And this guy said 4.5 years. I'm like, whoo, you must have a lot of rides under your belt. He said, yeah, 22,000 rides. I'm like, wow. Okay, and this leads into, so this is just how I just break the ice, okay? This leads into, and it maybe leads into this, it maybe leads into the next one. So I'm going to open both of those up, okay? The common problem, okay? Whenever I hear somebody that has a lot of rides or years in the business, okay, 4+ years means they've seen their take home go from 80% to 60% to 50% to 40%. Okay, they've seen that downhill slide. So sometimes I'll set up that common problem right away. Hey, Uber and Lyft keep lowering their take-home money. Okay, and sometimes I'll just launch into number 2. Okay, it really doesn't matter, but both of these things are going to be important. Okay, is I'm helping to launch a new rideshare business that gives drivers 100%. Would that interest you? Okay. I mean, we know what their answer is going to be, right? Because we already have the common problem, right? That Uber and Lyft keep taking away their take-home pay. And, you know, with this guy and the same guy, I hate to be using the same example. He was just such a great example for you guys, okay? Is he said, well, you know, that's fine. 100% is fine as long as you're not going to give me, you know, 2 cents on the mile. You know, if you're going to give me 100% of 2 cents on the mile, you know, forget it, right? And I don't, he just used that. I don't even know what the per mile is for him in DC. Okay. I think he said it was 6 or 8 or something like that. But his point is that if it's 2 cents, if it's 100% of nothing, then that doesn't do any good for me. Okay. And so, you know, sometimes we'll have people that are analytical and want to know about the per mile. Okay. And while I'm on that, I've come up really recently and ran this past corporate, and they're like, gosh, that's really good messaging, is that corporate's always said that they're going to be within about 5% lower than Lyft's rates. Okay, Lyft tends to be lower than Uber, although we'll see what happens. There's a bit of a, you know, squabble going back and forth, as there always is between those two. But so they've always said we're going to be within about 5% less than Lyft. Okay, so that is a way of determining what the rate would be if they weren't getting 100%. Okay. So that rate that you see on your rate card, if you're a driver now, reflects the fact that they're taking 40 to 60% of the pay. Okay, that's your actual rate because that's your decreased rate. Okay, so you got to understand that that's how those rate cards. The reason that they've had such a hard time coming up with a rate card, okay, is because that rate, okay, whatever your rate is with Lyft, will be 25 to 30% at least higher with Tryp. Okay, so let's say it's, you know, 60 cents, okay, a minute, right? It's 80 cents a minute. So you got to add another 25, 30% to that. And that's what the rate's going to be. So, you know, I've talked to them many times about like, how can we get to this point where we have a rate card? And they're like, Bill, it's super complicated because, you know, that's not actually the rate, you know, the actual rate. So another really good example, and again, yesterday was a day of lots of Uber trips yesterday, okay? We were taking an Uber for maybe about 3 or 4 miles going into National Airport, okay? And I asked the driver, again, my son, he's getting a crash course on Tryp hanging out with me. I asked the guy, I said, how much are you getting paid for this ride? Because I knew already what they were charging me. And he said, $4. I'm like, huh. I said, how much do you think Uber's taking? And he says, oh, they're taking about 40%. I said, well, I'm paying $10. And he almost got into an accident looking back at me, like, because he realized, wait a minute, you're paying $10. I'm getting $4. They're taking 60%. He didn't even realize it. He didn't even realize that on that short trip in the middle of the day, no surge, nothing going on. Okay. Maybe there's an airport fee involved in that they're taking 60% of the fare. So he was shocked. And I said, yeah, you know, unfortunately, they're not transparent with you so that you can't figure out exactly what they're making. So, you know, I use this as another example for you to use if you're talking to somebody, okay, of how untransparent Uber and Lyft are and how utterly transparent Tryp will be and is, okay? That fee, if I'm paying $10, let's just say, if I'm paying $11.95, okay, which includes the booking fee. So if I'm paying $10, the driver is taking home $10 from that ride, and I'm actually paying $10 plus $1.95 booking fee. So it would be $11.95. Okay. So if I pulled out my app and he pulled out his, he would see I'm making $10. He would see I'm paying $11.95. That's what we would both see if we were comparing our phones side to side. Okay. And that is awesome. Okay. So I always lead into this. Okay. So ask them about themselves. Tell them, would you be interested in earning 100%? Would that interest you? Okay. Set up the common problem, but Uber and Lyft keep lowering their take-home pay. And with Tryp, you get all the money because we feel drivers are the backbone of rideshare. I love to tell drivers that. Okay. You guys have heard me say that so many times that have been around with me for a while. Okay. I love it. Backbone of rideshare. Okay. Meaning that we put the drivers first. Okay. Super important. Okay. And then I always lead into, hey, next step, let's get you set up with a free account on Tryp. Okay. Did this yesterday with a guy. You set up yet? No. All right. Hey, it's free. Just let's get you set up. He's like, okay. Okay. So I text him my referral link while I'm there with him before I get out of the car. I'm like, let me text you the referral link. It'll take like 20 seconds. Okay. As I'm there, I walk him through setting up the account, enter the phone and the email, click the blue button, etc. Okay. It takes 5 seconds the most, right? It might take a second for him to do that, and then 3 seconds for the text, the 4-digit code to get back to him, and then and only then would I then begin to tell him about any special deals that they have right now. Okay, one of which is nationwide. It's the booking fee has gone from $249 to $199. Okay, we all know about that, hopefully, and that may change in the future. I don't know. The second thing is in Miami, you can defer your booking, your setup fee. Okay, you can defer that for 10 days in Miami right now. Okay, which is super cool. So those might be some of the things that we tell them about. Now, if you're in Miami right now and you're talking to drivers, I would be getting them to the event. Okay, because you can get free tickets on the Eventbrite link right now. Okay, and I'll send that afterwards to make sure that you all have that. Okay, making a note. Hang on a second. All right. Because right now at the bottom of the Eventbrite for the tickets next weekend, okay, it's our launch in Miami next weekend, you can get 2 free tickets. Doesn't matter. Okay, you just go right down at the bottom, you get 2 free tickets. So that's super cool. Okay, super cool. Talking about Miami specials. Okay, so the event next weekend, Chase was just saying at the beginning of the call, like, wow, that was a cool call last night. And what was cool about it, okay, is one of the things they're going to do is they're giving away a car. They're giving away a 3-year lease on a brand new vehicle to somebody who shows up, as long as you show up with one other person. Okay. So if you need to grab a homeless person on the way in, we can get you a ticket for them. Okay. Just try to make sure that, that person's, somewhat not stinky. So that they don't particularly stink up the room. I'm just joking. Okay. Whatever it takes, right? I would grab an Uber driver or a Lyft driver. If you're coming that way, I would go and find somebody and just say, hey, why don't you come along? Because if you bring a guest, you are now eligible to win a 3-year car lease on a brand new car. Super cool. And all you have to do is bring a guest. That's it. Okay. You also have to be a registered driver. I apologize. Registered driver, bring a guest. Okay. Tryp said that they'll be giving away 20 full year subscriptions as a driver. Okay. So that's $2,400. 12 months times $200. Okay. $2,400. So they're going to give away 20 of these. So 20 people are going to get a full year subscription as a driver just for showing up, which is very awesome. Okay. They also said that they will be giving out many $500 gas cards, which, like, cool. That would be helpful. Okay. For all of us, right? $500 gas cards. Literally, they just said we're going to be throwing them out. Okay. Meaning that out into the audience, not in the garbage. Okay. And as you've heard me say, is we also have a team competition going on within the Stacy Bill team, okay, which you're on this call and a part of right now, right? Is that the most people to come on your team. So if you bring the most people from your team, we are going to cover your airfare and your hotel costs up to $500, $500. I'm also going to want to interview you, okay? So be prepared to be on camera. I'm bringing my whole camera gear, okay? I ordered a new mic. It's really slick. It looks really, really awesome, and I hope it works, okay? It looks great. I'll bring extra mics just in case, all right? But I definitely want to interview you. I'm going to want to interview all of you guys, okay? So hopefully, if you're at all comfortable, please just come up to me and say, let's do this, okay? because I want to talk to you. I want to get you into the community. I want you to get. I want to get our conversations. What makes you excited? What are you doing in your business? What do you love about what we're doing? How do you feel we're going to help people? I mean, all those kind of things are really important things for other people to hear, right? They want to hear that there are real people in this company that care, that care, right? So that's super important, all right? But that whoever wins this competition in our I'm gonna slap 5 $100 bills in your hand, okay? And we're gonna get it on film, all right? Which will be fun, all right? A little bit about what to expect in Miami. We're having a team lunch at the DoubleTree Hotel on Saturday at 1 p.m., okay? It's going to be in the Impression restaurant, okay? The name of the restaurant is Impression, okay? It's a buffet. It's going to be $12 a person. We negotiated a great rate with them. They're going to hook us up, okay, which is awesome, okay? So we'll if you can, please, I know I've asked a few of you for contacts in your team. Just go ahead and just punch that out to everybody, okay? Everybody who's coming on your team, tell them Saturday, 1 p.m. in the Impressions restaurant in the DoubleTree Hotel where the event is taking place on Saturday night is where we as a team are going to get together. I've told them one amount. I'd love it to be a lot more than that. It sounds like it very well may be. The main event, the main Tryp event is going to be, the registration will open at 4 o'clock. I think the event starts at 5, okay? But don't quote me on that, okay? And I believe it goes to 8, but don't quote me on that either, okay? I like to talk a lot. I'm going to be on stage, so maybe they'll let me, maybe they'll let me wrap it up, okay? Also, there's a Friday event that they announced last night. It looks really cool. I mean, this thing looks like a really sweet place, like this, show car kind of looking place. There was lots of like fancy looking cars in the parking lot, okay? If you're not a part of the Super VIP, there's an event going on from 6 to 9 p.m. So that's for the Super VIP ticket holders, okay? General public will open at 9 p.m. Okay, so you guys can all come that are coming. Okay, show up. That'll be very fun on Friday night if you can make it. Okay, so super, super cool. Looking forward to all that. And then I'm sure we'll get together as whoever's left on Saturday or on Sunday morning for a breakfast. I know that Tryp's got a few other things that they're doing as well, which is very cool. So will you be in Miami? Okay, that's the question. You gotta be there, man. You guys gotta be there. Everybody needs to be there. It's gonna be super fun. I know that a couple of you have already said, yeah, it's just physically not possible for me to be there. I get that. But if you can get there, do so. Okay. Don't worry about tickets. All right. There will be tickets for you. Get there. I will get tickets for you for sure. Okay. So that's super, super important. Okay. All right. With that said, what questions do you guys have?
Hey, Bill, there's one in the chat.
Yeah. Are they giving away electric cards for EV cars? I do not know. That's a great question. Okay. But I do not know. Hopefully, yes. Thank you for that question. So you guys can just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question. Feel free to do so. I know Dell and Ladell are coming. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of us coming from our group. I'm so excited for you guys to be there. I just can't wait to get to know everybody face to face. So you have a Tesla. Okay, fantastic. You know what? I'm going to find out because that's a great thing. I will ask them to make sure that they at least have a couple of those available. So, and I know that with the Teslas, they have those rapid charge stations now, which are really cool and are all over the place right now. So. What cities are opening shortly after? What I've been told is it will be Atlanta, New Orleans, and Phoenix will be the next cities to open. And then I believe they're going to probably go right to Portland, Washington, so Seattle, and most of Texas thereafter. But you know what I don't know is that if this goes off well in Miami, they've said that they're going to start opening potentially 5 cities a week. That's what Bob has personally told me, and others have personally told me. So that would be awesome if that's the case. But he's thinking that once we get things figured out, it's going to go that quickly. It will go absolutely that quickly. that help? What other questions you guys have?
All right, I got a question, Bill.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know it's going to be a lot of questions, but is Bob taking the first trip?
I hope so. I think that would be pretty cool, you know.
Because he said in the conference call that he was going to test it out. You know, I don't know if he's going to test it out first, but that's why I was hearing. I was just trying to clarify.
Yeah. I know that he has said that he is definitely going to be personally be a driver during this period. So I don't know whether it's going to be the first one or who's going to be the first one. I'm sure that there's going to be something. Again, I'm bringing on my camera gear, so whatever it is, it's going to be caught on camera from our end, and we can use it in our team, which will be really, really fun. So lots of selfies, guys. Lots of selfies.
And is the gas cards, for instance, is the gas cards they're eligible for every gas station, or is it just like one strict gas station that they?
Yeah, I don't know what their plan is. I would hope that they're kind of thinking through that, and it would be something to the effect of, you know, like a generic card that would work anywhere, like a Visa or MasterCard kind of thing.
Because if they just strictly gas cards, it's kind of tricky because, you know, they stick with whatever gas station you can use it at. Because when you're giving cash out, that means that these guys, they don't even have to use cash. They would go to the grocery store and get some groceries or something with it.
Yeah. No, I think that something flexible like that would be good. I mean, you know, obviously they could get something like a Shell that's, you know, it's going to work anywhere in the country pretty much because there's Shell everywhere, mobile everywhere, that kind of thing, you know.
Oh, okay. And you said that they were talking about the subscription situation for 20 people. How's that work out? Is it $2,400 or something like that?
Yeah, so it's basically, the way that they put it, it sounds like they're just going to waive the fees for 12 months. So waive the full-time fees.
Okay, so that's for 20 people that come, you know, first to the event, right?
No, it's going to be like a random thing that they're going to be doing this. Yeah, they're going to probably find some just creative ways of picking people.
Okay.
You know, for me doing it, I would just have things stuck under a chair one time, or I would say, you know, I mean, I would just come up with fun ways to give them away. You know, I'm sure they're going to come up with some fun ways. David Mata is pretty good at this kind of stuff. So,
yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Let's see, Chase. Did we get anything on the Tryp pool? Yes, that'll be announced at the event. I'm going to go over that at the event. I'm also going over. So what Chase is referring to is that we've got something really cool that's going on in the background right now. And again, that'll come over at the event. I'm also going to be putting together a very special mastermind that I will talk to you guys about at the event as well. So I've got those two big things. Stacy doesn't even know about this yet. So it's going to be a surprise to him too. All right. And Benny Chase is saying, yes, it's $100 for $100 for drivers right now. That's nationwide. It's right now the bonus, the driver bonus is nationwide. It's not $50, it's $100 until next Saturday. Okay. For influencers. Yes, exactly. And do we get paid immediately or after their 10-day trial? Okay. If they're on the 10-day trial in Miami, it's only $50. Okay. So that changes only for that circumstance. It's $50. Everywhere else in the country, the current subscription rate to start driving is from $250 is right now at $199, and of that $199, your amount goes from $50 to $100. So you're taking them $100 on that. Okay, so I hope that's clear. And Chase says yes. As soon as they sign up, you should see it posted in your back office. That's correct. The funds are released. I believe they're released about 10 days later. Okay, is when they actually pay it. But you do get notified right away when somebody upgrades. So, are we going to be doing the 10-day trial anywhere else in the country for other cities is what you're asking, Benny. At this point, we don't know. My assumption is yes. I think it's worked really, really well in Miami. That's just my personal assumption. I've not heard anything from the company at all. So that is just my personal assumption on it, that it's working really, really well there and that they'll continue to roll it out. But we don't know. We really don't know at this point. So go ahead, just fire off questions, whatever you guys have. I'll do my best to answer.
So Bill, they said they're going to announce. They said Tryp pool that Chase was talking about in the chat.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to announce that. He wasn't supposed to announce.
Man, that ain't going to be good, man. People gonna do that. They better not get the fools in there, man.
That's something that we are doing in our group only, and you will have more information about it, Jared, on Saturday. All right, you got to wait, dude.
Yeah, I got you.
And what are the questions you guys have? It's going to be cool. It's going to be really, really cool what we're doing.
So when's the time on Sunday?
Sunday, I have no idea at this point. All I know is that, I'm figuring that we're all going to be out late on Saturday, which will be very cool, just kind of celebrating the grandioseness of this event. And then Sunday is going to be, as far as our group goes, it's going to be somewhat relaxed if we just get together for breakfast or something like that. And we'll just wait and see what the company has in store. So I would think you could probably get back on the road, because I know you're driving, Jared, sometime Sunday midday.
Gotcha. He said something about people driving in Miami if they have a Florida license.
Yeah. Now again, so it's a question that we get a lot from drivers is, can I have a Philadelphia or a Pennsylvania license and drive in Florida? That has nothing to do with the company. That has to do with reciprocity between and what the rules, really it's not even reciprocity, what the rules are in a particular state. So sometimes it's a reciprocity thing. For instance, okay, is we have a driver on our team who is in Reno, Nevada. Okay, he can take somebody to California in Lake Tahoe. So he can pick them up and take them to California and Lake Tahoe. He cannot bring somebody from California back over on the app. He can do it on the side, but he can't do it on the app because there's no reciprocity it's either from California to or Nevada, one or the other. Okay, there's no reciprocity there. So what just happened, Leo? You just took over. Stop that, Leo. I don't think you did that on purpose, my friend. So there we go. Thank you. But so that's purely a state-driven reciprocity. It's state regulated. Okay. Eventually what we would love to see, all of us, is none of that, right? That if I want to go to Florida on vacation, I can take some rides when I'm down there. Okay. That would be very, helpful, beneficial. Okay. But we just don't know at this point. It has more to do usually with the state that you're wanting to bring your out-of-state license and your out of state car to, whether they allow it. Now, Florida, I do know, is very, very friendly to rideshare. That's the reason they're launching there. Okay. So it very well may be a state that you guys can go out and drive and take rides in right off the bat. Okay. And one of my goals to bring my camera gear is I'm going to be dialing up a ride and say, okay, here's the plan. I want you to drive around for like a block and a half, and I'm going to pay you for that. And we're going to be in the back with a camera. All right. So I would love for somebody on our team to be that driver, which would be great if we can work that out. And we'll see if we can't. All right. So we'll figure that out. It may be that we figure it out once we get there. We go, hey, Jared, man, I'm going to ping you. And you accept it, right? And we'll see it. If it works, we'll be like, yes, going for a ride. But that'll be a good problem to figure out next Sunday morning, all right?
And so let's say like somebody that you had took a ride, and they start to utilize the reward system for the riders.
Yeah,
I didn't see that. Yeah, I've seen it in the back, like in the app, but I didn't see how everything is gonna work. I think it's when it happens, when people start taking rides, they start seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly correct. When we log on to either the app or on a browser window on a desktop or a laptop, or even on our phone, right, just on a browser, that first screen that we come to has information about anyone that we've shared the app with, or any rides that we've taken ourselves that have taken a ride vice versa. Okay, anybody they've shared the app with that has taken a ride, or us taking a ride ourselves, all that information will be captured in that very first screen, and that's where those reward points for a rider will accumulate. So we'll definitely be seeing that. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just making like I was just trying to figure out how I was going to set up. Like I was trying to get an image in my head.
yeah.
This is kind of like a cashback credit card reward program or
That's
something.
exactly it. What I do know about it is they said that the rewards don't get paid out until there's been $25 of rewards that have
Yeah.
accrued. So that's the one thing that we do know.
Yeah.
And
That sounds like a cashback.
yeah, I assume, you know, I know that I've talked to David Mata about this, that, you know, most likely they're going to have a Tryp credit card that will access those reward points kind of thing and access other things in the company. So I would assume that there's going to be something like that, because that's just driven by the merchant account, and the merchant account will say, hey, you know, let's do this, because obviously for a merchant account, it's just another way to make transactional, you know, money off the company. But I assume that we'll probably see something like that down in the future, which would just make sense.
Like, Tryp is kind of like the credit card rewards program, you know, in that sense.
Yeah.
Look at it, because you're working for those points. If you got rewards program credit card, you working for them points. Them points ain't just given to you. Like you got to do some spending. You got to do some, you know, going to, you know, like these companies, like the stores and stuff like that, that accept those type of rewards, and you start to get the like the points for, you know, airfare and stuff. If Tryp starts to go into that realm of things, then it's just really going to take off. A lot of people gonna be like, well, shoot, you can get a freaking credit card from Tryp and call it a day. Like.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. You know, that model has been one that's been proven out really, really effectively, and it's helpful, and people, you know, really find value in it. So without a doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Now
All
that's what Uber. It's funny because you like let me I got this last question. Uber has this Uber Pro, so they kind of, you know, watered it down to a point where it's like I don't even see it any different. You still, you know, not getting any benefits off of the Uber, you know, Pro, you know, system that they, you know, they're starting to use on drivers out here. And I was just like, well, they're just wasting their time. But they got like all these little programs on there. They like fix the dent and stuff like that. And then they got this thing where they, you know, I don't know how it works, but it's some schooling that they have on there that they're using, you know, for people that, you know, keep that, you know, keep a consistency of like acceptance and all these, like they just trying to use something so they can keep you, you know, hampered, you know, in a way, but saying it's a reward.
Well, you know, they've got to see us coming at this point, right? And just the sheer fact that they just recently launched a reward program, tells you that in and of itself, it's like, oh boy, yeah, maybe it's time that we start treating people a little bit better. And, you know, my assumption is it's going to be too little too late. Once we really start digging in, you know, they're going to go, whoops, missed that boat.
Yeah, they're gonna be obsolete. Like they're going to be obsolete. They're not even ready.
Yeah, that's what we want. I love that. Anything that begins with Uber and ends with obsolete is a good thing.
Yeah, I know.
Right. What other questions do you guys have? Any more questions? And if not, we can wrap it up. We will do this next Friday, except it may be a little later once I got to look at what my flight schedule it is, but I want to do it live from the hotel. I want to do this call live from the hotel next Friday. Okay. I will be there. I think I get in around 11, but I got to look at my flight information. So I might be able to make that time without a problem. If not, I'll just tell you what the new schedule will be. And then here's the cool part. Okay. Is if you're there, I'd love you guys to come and join me just live on the screen, which would be really, really cool to do something like that. So we'll figure something out like that as well too. So, and I'm going to actually, this one will absolutely be released because I thought it was really important information that we record this. You can see that it has been recording the whole time. I believe I messed up the slides, so it's going to take me to some little editing to get the slides in there so it flows nicely, because I really felt that this was not only important information for us and our group, but really important information for the company and for people who want to build Tryp, to really understand the nuances of, like, you know, you're going to be successful if you help a lot of people. So And with that said, I don't see any other questions coming in. If you got one more,
yeah.
Go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
You said with the Visa rewards card that Tryp is bringing out. Now, is that going to be a debit card or a credit card? And they already pulling credit.
Yeah, I have no idea at this point whether that will come anytime soon, but I assume, as I said, Jared, that it's definitely going to come.
So let me ask you this too. Now, that's only for the $199, subscription service, not for like the lower plan. Are they going to in the future be able to use some little rewards program for the lower subscription plan?
I would hope so. They do tend to make decisions based upon what demand is, and if the demand is there, then I would definitely think that they would. So
okay.
But I've literally not been able to get a lick of information from anybody about how that works, and they haven't talked about it in any of their calls.
No, I didn't hear any either. The other thing too is that when they said about the lease of the car that they said somebody can win. Now, when is it? What's the miles on it? Is it like
brand new?
I don't know if it's unlimited or is it just 12,000?
Yeah, unlimited, and it's going to be brand new, is what they said.
Oh,
so it's okay.
So you can go 3 years unlimited miles. I was just making sure because I was looking at it like, what regular leases is 12,000 miles.
Yeah, I think that their negotiation is going to be because people are going to want to use it for their businesses, right? That's why they're doing it, right?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, like when they say lease, I'm like, hold up, lease. They cap lease. They don't go higher than 12,000 or either 24,000 because they know that 3 years, if you ride in it consistently, just back and forth to work, that's it'll be able to get to that that mile range, but. If you're doing ride share, you throw that out the window.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my assumption too. So,
okay.
All right. Any other questions from anybody? Going once, going twice. Hey, we will see you all next weekend at the launch. Oh, did I have a question?
Yeah. I want to know how long do you think it'll be before our stocks go live?
So the way the stock plan works is that from the day that you basically signed up, 18 months down the road, okay, is when the stock begins to get issued. Okay, so you're driving in a part of the Tryp community as a driver for 18 months. And then at that point, so that's what they call a vesting period. Okay, at that point, the stock begins to get issued for that first month that you were in. So whatever you did that first month gets issued on month 19, essentially. Okay, on month 20, it's the second month, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the way it's going to work.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You bet.
All right, so it starts when you start driving, right?
Yep. No, actually, for you, Jared, it's probably going to be from the day that you join. Okay, so I assume that for the early arrivers, like a lot of you guys are, it's going to be back to the day that you started.
Okay, okay. I was just making sure because I was kind of confused. I'm like, hold on, they start with driving. That would mean you gotta go all the way around like 2.
That wouldn't make any sense. That would not make any sense. Yeah. So yeah.
I got you.
Any other questions? Anything? Fantastic. Hopefully I'll see many of you next weekend. I'm super excited. Thank you as always for your time today. And
I actually do got one. Now, are they talking about the drivers, that they said they have an account that can put other people under their account? Like, how would they explain that in an event?
Yes, I'm sure that they will.
Yeah, because like when they said that, I was like, I don't know how would they do that because they got background check people, right? They were going to do some driving.
Yeah. That's not something I haven't even asked anybody about that yet. So, yeah, I'm sure that they will. So,
gotcha.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody, and see you next weekend in Miami if you're joining us. If not, as always, right here, 1 p.m. Eastern, every week. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Bill.
You betcha.